Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Redwood Podcast episode. I'm excited to be here with you guys with my two co-hosts, Alfredo and Bryant. We have a couple different topics we're going to talk on today, but before we get into that, how have you been? What's going on with you right now? What's up? What's up?
I'm pretty good. My car needs some work, but outside of that, my hand's healing up slowly but surely.
You got the pins out, right?
Pins are out, yeah. The bone is still not fully healed because of the way the fracture happened. You know, it wasn't just a clean break; it was shattered. It was pieces of bone, and so it just heals when it heals. You know, that's literally what my doctor told me. It was like, I wish I could tell you. Usually, it's 6 to 8 weeks or this to that, and no, we can't. We can't do that for this injury, so it heals when it heals. And until then, we started meeting monthly, so we can take new X-rays and things of that matter. They're also talking about another surgery because of the scarring adhesion going on between the tendon and the actual bone. But God is good. Outside of that, we are men. He's called us to push forward, and that's what we got to do.
What an update. I was like, damn. I was like, damn. Oh, there's an okay week or whatever. Like, yeah, you got a bone. I was like, holy cow. Holy cow. How about you, brother? What's going on with you, man? How is life after the military?
Man, not nearly as interesting as Alfredo's. I just sit at home all day.
Make some enemies, fight from some doors.
Right.
Hoping that somebody texts me or something.
Oh, what are you guys doing today?
Telling you.
Oh, man. But life after is okay for you?
Yeah, man, it's different. You don't have the same camaraderie and all that other craziness. You know what I mean? Miss it sometimes, but at the same time, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's such an interesting thing, like when we talk about, I think this really lines up to a topic we're going to talk about today is the season of life.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you're in a winter season. I have to sing this song. I don't know about you guys, because I can't just say the seasons off the top of my head. I have to be like,
I don't know what song that is.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't know what song is that.
Wait, do you know?
Who's it by?
Wait, do you know that song?
No, never heard it. I can't.
Are you serious?
No.
No, are you guys serious?
No, yeah, we're serious. Yeah.
Winter, spring, summer, or fall. You've never heard that song.
Who sang that song for you?
Wait, are you guys just messing with me for real?
I know there's like a Boys to Men. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, when the seasons change.
Is this a joke? Boys to Men. Boys to Men, bro.
I was just like
4 seasons of loneliness.
Yeah.
Forever Alone.
Brian's like, Boys to Men. Like, whoa.
Don't even get me started.
No, dude, I thought you guys were, that song, like winter, spring, summer, fall, all you gotta do is call.
Nope.
Bro, you didn't learn that in school?
Who is this? Who sings this?
I don't know.
The Bee Gees?
Third grade.
Like, what is this?
They're third grade teachers.
No, when did I?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was
Teachers,
like, come
okay.
on. Okay.
That was a song specially for Angelo.
I was literally like,
He's like, why are you not getting this?
I was looking at it. I was like, bro, what?
Yeah.
Are you guys just messing with me right now? Like, I'm like, do you really want me to sing the whole thing? I mean, I'll go into falsetto if I have to.
I would
like,
join you if I knew the song, but I think this was Angelo special.
the way you guys looked at me was like, I'm crazy. I'm like, are you really? Winter, spring. Maybe put a little vibrato in there. You guys will get it.
If you got a song in your heart, you might as well sing it.
That's funny. So the song goes, I mean, I'm still baffled. I can't believe you guys don't know that song. You guys better know that song. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, the song goes, winter, spring, summer, and fall. All you gotta do is call and I'll be there. Right? That's the famous line. Maybe not so famous anymore after talking to you guys. But it just talks about, the reason I mentioned that was because that's how I remember the seasons. Winter, then spring, then summer, then fall. If you generally look at it, winter is kind of like the cold, damp, or the cold, uncomfortable season of life. Winter, spring is kind of like new hope. You imagine flowers blooming, like growth, like coming out of a winter season. Like now it's like renewal. And then summer, it's like everything is good. Life is perfect. Life is great. It's hot, right? And then
Yeah.
fall is you start to slow down again. And right now, like we're in Chicago, we're in the Midwest. It's fall, and we're coming off of a mild summer, and now it's starting to cool down. And I personally find myself in this state of reflection where you come off of summer and now it's like starting to slow down again, right? We're getting ready for Thanksgiving, Christmas, all like the seasons. I can tell you this guy's got something stirring in his mind right now. But I just share that so that everyone's kind of on the same page. And here, the funny thing is, like that is cyclical, right? In the world, winter, spring, summer, and fall. In life, I can be in a winter, you can be in a summer, and you can be in a fall right now. And I think that's such a great distinction to know, because you got to remember, if everything's going great in your life, that's awesome. But you don't know the season that somebody else is in.
That's right.
Mm. That's deep.
Yeah.
I like that.
You got to go into the song first.
Man.
You know? But what are your thoughts on that, Brian?
Man, I would co-sign with essentially everything that you said about the seasons. So, just looking it up, winter was associated with like a season of sadness for me. Because for whatever reason, you experience that sadness, and you just think about like cold, right?
Yeah.
Being lonely, such, not having anybody to turn to type deal. So I think that everybody might be going through that kind of stuff, at points in their life, but hopefully not too long. And then you got the spring where, like you said, that new growth and whatnot starts coming around, and everything starts to unthaw. The negative emotions and such that you might have had about certain situations, they gradually, they're still there, but they're starting to come to light. People start recognizing them. Summer, you can actually enjoy the company and whatnot that you're in. In fall, you get to actually see the success of everything that you planted. So in that, spring season where you were going about trying to grow up, whatever, you start seeing the fruits of your labor come that fall season where you actually can reap the harvest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One thing that I keyed on with what you said thaw. I think that's such a great imagery. Right after a winter when everything's frozen and out here it's kind of like ugly and just kind of like all the same colors.
Yeah.
And then you start to think thaw, and you're like, oh, the ice is slowly melting away, and it gives opportunity for beautiful colors to come out of the snow or ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
And you realize that what looked dead really wasn't dead; it was just sleeping.
Ooh,
I like that,
ooh.
Because
I like
sometimes us being imperfect creatures, sometimes we might be in a season of winter. Sometimes we see another person and we think, ah, man, they're dead inside, or they're stagnant, or whatever, But really, they're having a tough time. They're in a state of hibernation, and they need for that season in their life to be over, so that they can start pushing again.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's why having a group of people, really kind of helps you thaw out at times.
Yeah.
Because when you're experiencing that season of loneliness and you feel like you don't have anybody to turn to, having somebody, even if it's just one person that you can turn to, mom, dad, best friend from elementary school, whatever, that will reach out to you. Hey, how's it going? Sometimes that's all you need to be able to pull yourself out of that, dark place.
Yep.
So having those kind of people in your life,
I love that. To piggyback off of that and that imagery of thawing, it's like I'm frozen and I got you two next to me with like a hair dryer, like trying to unthaw me.
Yeah.
And that's such a. I love that imagery because you have to remember that we weren't made to do life alone, right?
That's true.
When God made Adam, he's like, oh, he's by himself.
Yeah.
I better give him a partner.
Yeah. That is correct.
absolutely.
And he made us in such a way that not only do we need relationship, but we're worship-based creatures, And if we don't seek the divine, if we don't seek God Almighty, we're going to find something we're going to find the wrong thing to worship without realizing it.
Mm.
You know, so that's another aspect of relationship that we really need to keep in check. You know, because we might worship our other relationships versus our relationship with God. You know.
Let's go, dude. This is gonna be such a powerful episode. I can just feel it in my spirit. I think like there's something that God has brought us together today, right now, to speak on, and I'm just getting so excited because I'm like I know like someone listening to this needs to hear it.
Absolutely. Yeah. The
So-
word of God never comes back unfruitful.
But I definitely want to visit the seasons again and come back to this because it's there's so many things to unpackage. But let's go on what you're just talking about right now, where you said if you don't seek God in that relationship, you're going to seek out other relationships.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go on that.
Well,
Elaborate. What specifically other relationships are you saying?
well, it could be anything. You know what I mean? I mean, think of the word idol nowadays. It doesn't mean the same thing that it meant back in the Old Testament. Now you have idols
American Idol?
Yeah, you have American idols. You have in Japan, Korea has a huge idol culture, right? And I'm not talking about little statues. I'm talking about people. You know, it's like the pop culture. You know, they get on a stage and you have masses that are unknowingly, or maybe they do know, but unknowingly they're worshiping this group, or they're worshiping this dancer or this singer, this performer. They're giving their praise or giving their heartfelt love. And then you have personal relationships, right? So, you know, if you could be codependent, right? You could need this other person, you know, whether it's a lover or it's a friend, or, you know, it could be your relationship with, you know, coffee or drugs. You know, with alcohol, you know, you could start abusing things, you know. Pornography, that's a huge one, yes.
Absolutely.
And then if you're not grounded by the Lord, if you're not grounded in what your expectations of your relationship with God, then you will start cheating on him, you know, in other areas of your life.
Absolutely.
And
Oh, that was nasty. Yeah, that was nasty, man.
yeah. And I mean, there's plenty of examples, you know, across the Bible. You know, we like David, so we'll jump into David for just a quick example. You know, he was king for, I want to say 30 years, right, at that point, and his relationship with God was on the rocks, you know, because it was very obvious through his fruit, through his actions, that he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. You know, he was at war. The country was at war, and instead of him leading his people at the front, being the inspiration, being God's representative here on earth as God-appointed king, he stayed in the castle. And you know, when you got too much time on your hands and you're not applying yourself, and you're not being a good steward of the time that God is giving you, then you start looking at other things. You start wanting other things. You know, it was all the concubines and the women that he had or could have had wasn't enough now. Now he looked out the window and he wanted somebody else's sheep, right? So that's just an immediate example.
Not
right
real
there.
sheep, by the way, for all y'all.
Oh,
know.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, yo,
yeah.
what?
That's frowned upon in the Bible, all right?
That's not okay either.
Yeah.
That's not okay. Either.
Yeah, God said way back in the day that was not to be a thing.
you got the listeners like, what? Whoa! I don't think that part of the Bible.
Yeah, metaphorically, right?
Metaphorical sheep, not real
Yeah,
sheep.
yeah, we're talking about his head general's wife, right? That's what we're talking about.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh man, what are your thoughts on that, Ryan?
Man, it's very deep.
Yes.
And I agree with everything that he just said. So one thing that somebody had told me in the past was, you know, to be able to identify an idol, you got to look at like how much time you're dedicating to something.
Ooh.
So if you're constantly scrolling
good
through
one.
social media and you're spending more time on social media than you spend with God, more than likely that's an idol. You know, if you're drinking and you're drinking more than what you spend time with God, that's an idol. You know, and so on. The list just continues on.
Well, let me ask you this, and I don't mean to cut you off. Can idols be a good thing? Ever?
So, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to answer that question, to be honest with
Not in
Yeah.
that terminology.
you. Exactly.
Okay.
You can have goals.
Yeah.
God can give you a mission and say, "This is why I put you on this earth."
Okay.
That's cool.
Exactly.
But one of the first mandaments is you will worship no other God outside of me, your God, right? So that means you can have no idols. You will have no idols before me. That's literally what that is. So if you start, like you said, devoting too much time, or really this is how I gauge it, and if God asked you right now, let it go, and it hurts you,
Ooh.
Yeah, that's real.
if you were just like, I don't want to,
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
Yeah.
I think that's really a problem, because as we've stated before, everything is God's. We own nothing. We are just here to take care of some of it, to appreciate the rest, and the rest of the rest, don't look at it, don't touch it, let it go, don't mess with it.
Alfredo is on one today. You see this?
Are you,
Man.
are we drinking the same thing?
He must have put some Bailey or
What's
something.
I know. I told you not to tell him.
Not on camera, bro. Not on camera. Don't be exposing me like that.
Man.
Man, okay,
Man,
dude.
that was
I,
filthy. Yeah. Let's see, but I think that in the different seasons, we might be establishing different idols as well.
Oh, yeah.
ooh, go on that.
For sure.
Go on that.
Man, so I don't know how exactly to expound upon, the winter time, because, in the season of sadness and such, all you're seeking out is a way to get out of, that season, right?
And that's primarily what winter becomes.
Yeah.
It's like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I want to get the F out of here.
Exactly.
Like, when it's winter here in Chicago, y'all know. Y'all from the South.
Exactly.
So when you come up here in my neighborhood,
Yeah, exactly. Man.
with your short shorts and all that, like your tank tops, you don't need that.
Yeah,
No,
what is
you
this?
put that away. You put that away in the wintertime. That goes in the back of the closet.
I'm telling you.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, go ahead,
Absolutely.
winter.
But then when you look at fall, and then you're able to bask in all the successes and whatnot that you had from, the rest of the year, essentially leading back up to that winter season. It's easy to, put your successes as an idol, in all honesty, because you think about it. I got this car. The first thing you said is, I got this car, as opposed to, I was blessed with this car, type deal. So not being able to truly recognize where it is that your blessings are coming from. I think that comes along with, the different seasons that we experience in life, where in that wintertime, it's really easy for you to see, like, oh man, I really messed up here. In every other season where you might be successful, you want to attribute all those things to the things that you have done, as opposed to the places that God has put you.
Nice.
That's so good. That's so good. And I just want to make a distinction there. It's like we pay attention to our speech, right? Like, I don't know the exact scripture, but somewhere in the Bible it says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if you are speaking, I win, I'm successful, when you pay attention to your speech patterns, you get to see what's really in your heart. Because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if you are speaking all this negativity, like, man, my life sucks, life just kicked me in the balls, my wife doesn't love me, my kids don't respect me, my this, that's coming out of your mouth, so that's really what's in your heart.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did I just say some scripture, y'all? Did,
You
I,
sure
just, did I just
did.
drop some scripture? What?
It surprised me as well,
Yeah.
man. That was deep.
but that's such a great distinction, and I love that you said that, because you have, like, in law enforcement, like, we're big on pattern recognition. We look at people like, this guy's about to run, and like, how could you tell? Well, you can see, like, look at his eyes.
Yeah.
You can see, like, he's positioning himself.
He's building up to it.
He's building up to it. His fists are kind of clenched, like he's gonna fight or flight. So it's gonna be one of the two. So like, it's like people are like, oh my God, how did you know that? Well, if you pay attention to the little details, you can see what he was about to do. And the same exact thing, you take that same concept and you apply it to us. What do you got? Like, what's coming out of my mouth? What am I doing every single day? Like, how can you say that I believe in God and I have faith and this, but then, you're at home and you're wallowing in your doo-doo.
In your doo-doo, yeah.
In your doo-doo.
That's
Yeah.
legit.
Right?
Right.
No, that is legit.
Like, I believe in God, but when you're at home by yourself, you're like, you're what? You're watching porn.
Yeah.
You're playing endless video games,
Yeah.
like kind of like totally unplugging, not paying attention to your kids, not paying attention to your wife. Oh, but I'm a believer,
Yeah.
you know?
You know, and that's the way that you go about de-stressing as opposed to being able to do what's biblical.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I guess that's where the idol kind of comes in. And it's tough, you know, being able to actually recognize your idol. So actually being intentional about your time and truly like looking at the things that you do, just the patterns of life, being able to recognize what is it that might be an idol that is blocking me from being able to be closer to God, closer to my family, you know, whatever. And
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, it is your family that ends up being an idol.
Ooh.
You know, you get so consumed with being able to do the things for your family that you completely forget about, you know, I'm supposed to be teaching them how to be, you know, a better Christian, a better person, whatever. And, you know, we just get caught up with that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah,
another form of
absolutely.
idolship.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as Christians, you always hear it's God first, then your wife, then your kids. You know, and at least I'm guilty of this. Sometimes I put my wife first. You know, and so sometimes God has to check me.
Yeah.
You know, and remind me, hey, you need to take care of business.
Yeah.
All right, you need to talk to me first, and then you talk to her.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah,
I appreciate you saying that, man,
Anyways,
because like,
yeah.
dude, I'm the same way.
No.
Yeah.
I think a lot of men, and I mean, obviously we know this is being recorded, this is going to be shared to the world. So I commend both of you for just sharing your hearts and being open and vulnerable and just, it's not easy to say this in front of other men and to share this with the world where potentially hundreds and thousands of millions of people are going to hear.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just wanted to quickly, you know, say thank you to both of you because that was such a good, I'm glad you did share that because right away for me, I'm like, yeah, I do that too, bro.
Yeah, but it's needed, you know, because some people might think that, oh man, I'm the only person that goes through this kind of stuff. It's like, no, you're not alone, you know, and that's what ends up leading people to be in that season of winter, you know, you know, a prolonged season of winter, you know what I mean? So,
And then the enemy whispers in your ear and tells you
Yeah.
you're alone.
Yeah.
You're the only one messing up.
Yeah, you are a
You're
horrible person.
you can't. You're a horrible person. You can't go back. You don't belong there.
yeah, you cannot be.
They're
forgiven.
gonna you know make fun of you. They're gonna judge you. You know what I mean? And that's another reason why I think it's so important that we're so open about our flaws is because we're not perfect, and that's why we come to the hospital. That's why we come to the healer. You know, that's exactly why we're here. That's exactly why we're speaking right now. Is because God's given us a little, and so we want to try and pass that on.
Oof. Man, so I'm really glad that you said that because I was thinking about one of the parables that was utilized in the Bible where it's talking about, you know, one person being given 1 talent, one person being given 2 talents, and then one person given, you know, 5 talents, whatever. And the people that had more than one, they went off and actually did stuff with those talents to go about increasing their kingdom, or God's kingdom, really. But the person that only had one, you know, tried to hold on to it. I think that a lot of times that's what we end up falling into the pattern of. We're usually that person with the 1 talent, you know, where, you know, this is my wife, this is my family, I have to hold on to them, as opposed to being able to develop them into the things that, you know, God has destined for them. You know, you're holding on to that talent because I don't want to let this go. But then you think about it, the person that only had that 1 talent, God ended up taking everything from him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So the thing that you try to covet, essentially, is the very thing that could be taken away from you for
Ooh,
trying to covet it.
Yep.
that's so good.
It's like what Jesus says, you know, he who loses his life will find it in me, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, because here you are, and you're coming from a place of fear when God has called you to be courageous, you know, and take strength in Him. And here you are, just holding on to this one thing, and I don't want to lose it. I'm afraid, you know, what if? And that's not what God called you out to be.
Yeah.
You know, if He's given you a talent, He's called you to cultivate it, to grow it, to use it for His glory.
Oh man. And honestly, we could sit on this topic like all
We
day.
could. and I like that's what I'm, dude. I love this, and I really feel like God is in the middle of this conversation. Like He's here today. We're obviously in His house, We might be in his bathroom or something. I'm not really sure. But we're in his house.
That's why that's there.
That's why. That's that smell. But Ryan, bro.
I know.
God, come on. Just so we're clear, because this actually was very confusing for me in the beginning when I heard this talents in this specific. It was money, correct?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
you know,
then
just so because like again, when I heard this first, I was like talents. Like I'm like.
being able to
Like, like you can dance, I can sing, I can play basketball.
Exactly,
Like, you know, like what is those kind of talents?
Exactly.
Like, yeah, but in the Bible, it was actually talents, as in like the money value, right? Like they turn around and increase their talents,
Yeah.
their money,
Yeah.
their master's money, I should say. But it definitely goes back to what like your actual talents,
Yeah, man.
your actual gifts and abilities and
Absolutely.
skills and.
Yeah, if you don't work on them, you lose them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if you bury them in the ground, you lose them.
Mm.
You know, because that's what the guy with one talent did. He buried it. You know,
Exactly.
he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna put this in a secret place. No one's gonna find it, and I'm not gonna find it either."
Yeah.
Exactly.
that means nobody got it.
Yeah.
So that's
Fucking
legit.
heaven.
You can't steal it if you.
Yeah.
I don't even know where it's at.
It's legit, man.
Yeah.
Hey, so it's crazy to think about, man. But in all honesty, when you look at like the wealth gaps and such, you look at the people that have a lot, and a lot of times, you know, they're able to diversify. But the people that don't go about diversifying are the same exact people that end up losing everything, and end up coming exactly back to where they said, "I'm never going back there again." Hey, man, you're my neighbor now.
Yeah.
That game, 2 years ago was crazy, man. What happened? Yeah, I broke my leg, and here I am. You can't come back. It's tough, but I think that's one of the things that goes into having a single talent, which is why the people at the bottom, if you will, the 99%, end up being like a jack of all trades but a master of none. Because we have to go about cultivating, a lifestyle for our family, for ourselves and such, and we have to be like extremely creative. So I hate to bring them up, but oftentimes people in prison are some of the most ingenuitive people that I've ever seen.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
Man, if you could only go about applying those talents and whatnot, in the regular world, as opposed to, criminalistic type stuff, what kind of world would we have?
Dude.
Some of the guys that I know that are reformed now, they are they're some of the best mechanics I've ever seen.
Man.
Like they just have, like you said, ingenuitive, and they might not have the right tool, but they'll get a wrench and a ratchet and make it work
Yeah.
somehow.
They're like, you know how many things I can make with that plastic fork?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
You better be careful. You better
Yeah.
be careful, man.
Yeah.
I'll make a car on that thing.
Exactly. So it's just insane to me how that kind of stuff works. But I think that that's also, just one of those blessings from God, man. Not everybody's gifted with that kind of thought process up until you're forced to have that kind of thought process.
Yes. Yes. And whenever you're forced to do something, when that type of pressure is applied, and like you just come from when you're at 0 and then you got to go to 100, you're not gonna hit 100. You're just that added pressure, you're gonna crack.
Exactly.
So like 100%.
definitely make mistakes.
There's so many there's so many men that I know in my life that I'm like, dude, if you just applied yourself, you'd be on Forbes.
Man, and I think that the people at the bottom, when you don't have anything, it's so much easier to go about depending on God for everything. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Because the people that have everything is like, oh, man, I got this on my own. But then as soon as they lose, it's like, oh, what happened? And then that's when God, if you're listening, please help. And
Remember me?
You remember me?
Yeah,
Remember
exactly.
you helped me before.
Your humble servant.
You're you're a humble servant. I come to thee. Like you start busting out the Hebrew and stuff, man.
Yeah, but it's so much easier to go about depending on God when you don't have what it is that you're looking for or what it is that you need, as opposed to when you already have it. God is like an afterthought. It sucks. That's the way that it goes.
Everybody runs to God when they're in need.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In the high moments, everyone just kind of forgets about him.
Yeah.
That's we see that example way too often.
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely.
And
I think that's why there's so many, like, mediocre Christians.
Yeah.
could be.
It's
you know.
it's because I think it's because like once you get what you want, I don't need God. I did this on my own, right? You may have helped me, and dude, 100% that was me.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah.
I prayed to God, like when I couldn't go into the military because of my other injuries. I'm like, God, please, I just really want to be a cop. I just want to serve. I want to be part of something bigger than myself, dude. I was going to church.
Yeah.
I'll put myself on blast. I'll throw myself on the bus. I was praying. I was, going to church. I was participating. I was engaged. The moment I became a cop, stopped going to church.
I don't have time for that anymore. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of other factors too, like your schedule. I'm sure was big. I'm sure you did
Oh, for sure.
nights and stuff like that.
And that's what I
but-
told myself.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm working midnights.
Exactly. God understands.
I'm chasing Satan right now, Jesus. We're
Exactly.
cool, right? Like,
I'm doing your work.
I'm doing your work. Yeah, I'm doing God's work. We're good, right? Like that counts for something.
Yeah. Man, so I think that really leads us into one of the points that you wanted to talk about with the lone wolf mentality.
Oh.
Yeah, versus the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that lone wolf is that person that, when everything is up for them, it's very easy to just run away. Where in that community, you have to go about depending on one another. You know what I mean? So oftentimes you hear about in the church, specifically, when you have somebody that's struggling internal to the church, how funds and everything else is pulled together to be able to help that person out of whatever tough spot they're in. But that lone wolf doesn't have anybody that they can depend on. You know what I mean? And so that it's just 10 times harder for them, and it starts going to the extremes. Like if I don't have it, Angela have it. I have it now.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah.
He's like, give me that fork real quick. And Alfredo, get that plastic one. No, not the metal one. The plastic one.
Do the handshake.
Alfredo, get the cameras. Get the cameras.
Stop recording.
This was not playing.
Like, why you keep throwing up the X at me? Like, what's that mean?
What's that mean? To add on what you were saying though, Brian, I think in Timothy it says that, like, I'm trying to remember the exact words, but essentially that 2 is better than 1. Because if you were alone and you fell and couldn't get back up, who was there to help you? And there's other examples in the Bible of community, and that you should be surrounded by other godly people and the church and things of that nature. But we're not designed to function alone. We're not designed to try and stand off ourselves against the world, because that's where sometimes a lot of fear comes from, right? Like the famous battle of it's not the 300, but essentially it was a prophet, and he was it a prophet? Oh my gosh, I'm not remembering correctly the story, but there was a character in the Bible, and he was terrified, afraid, because he thought, oh, look at this giant army, and we're here, just a couple of us, or it's just me, or I'm alone, we're all gonna die, and then I believe the prophet prays for this other individual, and he says to open his eyes, so he can see what's really going on. And so when God takes the veil, the spiritual veil off of his eyes, he gets to witness all the angels. So there was an army in front of him, but there was divine power that was backing them up. And I think that's what we also lose a lot of sight of, is that we're not really alone. Sometimes the enemy wants to confuse us, right, and tell us you're alone, you have nobody. But really, that's not what God promised. He said, I'm with you until the end of the earth. He says my spirit will be with you. And those are all promises. They're not it's not a contract where it's you do this and I'll do that. No, it's done.
Exactly. Man, but at times being in community is like very confusing for me as well. Because I forget what the numbers were specifically in the Bible, but you had one of the prophets. I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now. But he was supposed to be leading, Israel into battle. And it was like a massive army. We'll just say 1 million people in the other army. And God said, assemble your army and get ready to go fight them. So this prophet went and got, let's say 300,000 people. Hey, too many people. Take it down a little bit. Say, all right, all you guys, you're gone. Go back home. Now you're down to 30,000. Nope, still too many people. Let's go down even further. And that's where we get to that number 300. Mm-hmm. It's like, God, how am I supposed to fight 1 million people with 300 people? It's like, trust me. Mm-hmm. I got you. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about it.
But you sent Brian and Alfredo home?
Exactly.
And you took all the plastic forks?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I guess that's where we really have to be able to rely on what it is that God is telling us. And really be able to just discern, where that word is coming from. Because oftentimes for me, I like to think that, God operates through the people that I associate with. But at the same time, you have to be able to judge the character of the individual that you're taking the advice from. So somebody told me in the past, hey, don't take advice from somebody that you wouldn't be willing to trade lives with.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's a good one.
When you're going into a situation that it looks hectic, and that person's, hey, why don't you just shoot him? I was like, wait, what? How do we get from here to here? How does that work? But then you have somebody else, hey, why don't you just have the conversation with, see what's actually going on, be able to decide like what the next best action would be. You have those kind of people in your corners, and you have to be able to decide like which one is it that I want to associate with on the more frequent basis. But what I find is that oftentimes you go to the person that you already know the answer, but you go to the person that is going to give you the answer that you want, right? And so, hey, Angelo, man, I'm really having, a tough time right now. My wife, we're struggling. And it's like, well, you could always just go to a strip club, you know what I mean? Sample, all the other women that are there. And go to the people that are going to be giving you the answer that you want, oftentimes. Yeah. Until you can't go to them. And then you have to go to the person that's going to give you the real answer. You know what I mean? Because oftentimes, when I want a legit answer, I won't come to, my brothers or my sisters, because I know all they're going to end up doing is, yeah, you were right in that situation. If I go to my mom every single time, it's like, oh, yeah, you messed up. Like, all right, how do I fix it? But being able to have the people around you that are going to be able to tell you when you're right and when you're wrong, and actually legitimately build up your character from that spot that you were in, it's key. And I think that's part of that, having that community around you. Because, what verse was it? Hebrews 10:24. I don't have the whole thing, but it says, we spur one another. So we spur one another to go about taking the correct actions or the wrong actions. You know what I mean? And that's where the community kind of comes into play. You think about the city of Chicago, how, back in the 70s, 80s and such, it got very hectic, just with race relations and such. Gangs started forming and all that other craziness, and then you look at the situation for what it is now, where you have a lot of kids that are misguided and such, and they don't have that sense of community. They say that they have a community, they claim the blocks and whatnot that they're from, but it's not really a community, because what community do you know of that would end up sending you out to die? Yeah. For what? Just because somebody else is from a different street than you are.
Yeah, or a different color.
It makes no sense to me. But being able to actually have the right community, establish yourself in a community that actually cares about you and such, is where I think that the community of just being a follower of Christ ends up coming in, man. And I remember a time of lacking that, you know what I mean? And then feeling like I was the only one. It's like I was extremely aggressive during that time period. You know what I mean? Because I felt like this is the only way I'm going to be able to hold on to everything that I got. I have to be aggressive in order to hold on to everything that I have. And then you get involved with the Christian community and such, and it's like, no, you don't need to hold on to everything. let go of everything. And then you'll see that the things that you were valuing before, they don't really mean anything. You know, they're just items.
There you go.
Yeah, man. It's so
It's a good piece.
tangible.
Piece it all
That
together.
was good. That was real good. I've always heard, going back to your advice moment, that advice is always something that you ask for when you already know the answer. You know, and I think sometimes, most of the time, I believe that to be true. You know, because sometimes I'm wrestling with that idea, or maybe an action that I have to take, and I think, man, this is gonna piss off people, you know, or this is gonna hurt someone, right? So I go to people that I trust that are not just gonna tell me yes, or not just gonna tell me no, but will be, okay, what's the context? You know, what are the facts? And give me what they truly believe would be the best, you know, advice. And most of the time, they just tell me what I already knew. You know, they're just like, yeah, I think you should do this one. It's harder, but that's what you need to do. And I'm just like, man, why?
I don't really
You know,
wanna do that
I didn't
one.
want to do that one, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, you always have that nudging in the back of your head, or maybe it's the Holy Spirit, I don't know. But you already knew what you had to do. You knew what was correct,
Right.
you know? And to add on also to your 300 story, that God always has a master plan, right? And he wants to take out the insecurities in your life, and he wants to take out anything that's going to hurt you later down the line, right? And it doesn't look like a big deal now, but that will grow, and that will progress, and that will become some sort of roadblock in your life, or it'll be like, you know, the little stone, little pebble in your shoe, right? Like you said, it went from, you know, 300,000, and you know, they stopped by to get water at a stream or a river, whatever it was, and then God gave us, like, you know, sometimes God works with signs, and he said, okay, observe everybody as they drink water, and if they put both their knees on the ground, tell them to go home. Why? Because that means they're not at the ready. That means that they let their guard down too often. So yeah, the people that put both their knees on the ground, and they had to go home. You know, everybody else that just put one knee on the ground to drink water, and they were still vigilant, they were still observing, they were still cognitive of the fact that we are at war. We have to be ready. Yes, I need this water right now, but I'm going to do it carefully. And then the next, you know, stage of that thinning off was when, or actually I think this was the first stage. You know, I can't remember who it was, but the person gets in front of the army, and they say, okay, whoever's afraid, leave now. You know, why? Because that fear will spread between the individual to the other person, because we spur off each other, right? So if you have Angelo, who's courageous and ready to go, and he's got a fire for God, you know, and I'm over here afraid to speak out, and I'm afraid, you know, to go to war, and I'm afraid I'm afraid that I'm going to lose the life that I have cultivated for myself, I think, here on earth. Well, that might affect him. So God says, if you're afraid, leave, right? Because we're at war. We can't have fear in the middle of the troops. So yeah, we might not understand why God takes things away, and it might be something simple. It might be the smallest thing, but we don't realize that later down the line, that's the reason why we fell. That's the reason why we died.
That was filthy. Man.
The little details.
I'm telling you. Alfredo was just like, I don't know. He must have been listening to the Bible like as he slept or something
Seriously.
like that. Bringing all the points.
I just touch it. It's osmosis.
Whoa. All right.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
Let's see.
Well, I mean, that's so good, you know, like, we spur off each other, and that's such a key thing. And those are all the benefits of being in a community, having a brotherhood, being in a community like this, in a group, in a team like this setting. So let me ask you guys this: well, why don't we men have that? Not enough. Why don't we do that enough? Why don't we have more men around us? Why aren't we more purposeful about surrounding ourselves with like-minded men? Why I feel like there's so much more lone wolf thinking than, dude, I need to talk to Brian D'Alfredo about this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of it's like, nah, I got this. I need to figure this out.
No, it's legit.
And you actually called me out on that. Remember that?
No,
You called me out on that one time.
I did.
We were having a conversation, and you're like, "Why do you see yourself as a lone wolf?"
Oh yeah.
Because I'm like, "Big dogs gonna eat." You know? No, but you called me out on it. You're like, "Why do you?" Like, something about like,
They were
why-
sitting right over there.
Yeah, you said something like, "Why do you see yourself as a lone wolf?" Why don't you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's a real thing that
Yeah.
I'm beginning to be better about now. And part of that is because I have you two in my life that I can talk this stuff with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one thing that when I'm solving things, going through, like I look at like each of us is like our own filter system. I have this thought. I put it through my filtration system. It's being processed through my experiences, my memories, my knowledge, all this stuff. And then I come out with something different.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to take that same package and process it through Alfredo, it's gonna come out different. And I take that same process, put it on you, it'll be different.
Mhm.
So the beautiful thing is, as we're having this conversation right now, and even as the listener or read or watcher or whatever, we're each filtering it through our own set of knowledge, experiences, systems, and stuff. So in the end, the same raw materials may have came in, but the packaging will be different in the end.
Mm.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing is, when we have this, we can each compare different packages.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I didn't pick that up when you said that. That was really good. Oh, you know what? Hey, look what I got.
Mm.
Oh, I like that. Like, I didn't even see. Oh man, dude.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I'm seeing that now, and thus the reason why I'm being more open and vulnerable and in this season of my life. But prior to me really opening up my eyes to that, I was more of like, hey, I got this.
Yeah. I think it's so much easier to be like that, though, in all honesty.
True, yeah.
Because when you don't have the community around you that you can go about being vulnerable with, you start worrying about, everything that you say, how they're going to end up using it against you and such.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because throughout life we learned, people will try to take advantages
Yes.
of your weaknesses.
Yes.
So why should I expose myself? That's why men don't really have, genuine relationships outside of, a select few. I think that's the issue. Just by the way that we came up. It's just natural for us to fall into that lone wolf mindset because at times, I really don't want to burden these people with, my issues. So let me not tell them this because maybe they might judge me. While the whole time, if you told that person, what the issue was, they might even love you even more. You know what I mean? So it's difficult to go about being a man in society now because you're not allowed to be vulnerable.
Yes.
I guess they're trying to change that along the ways now. But for the older generations, it's tough to be vulnerable because you're not allowed to show any kind of weakness, even in your family. You know what I mean? You end up having to pay for everything and such. And then the moment that you break down because, I have to do all this stuff and it feels like the weight of the world was on your shoulders. The moment that you can't go about handling that kind of stuff on your own, you feel like a failure,
Yeah.
And then who do you talk to about that? And can you talk to your spouse about it? How would they receive that? How would your friends receive it and such? So you're just extremely careful with the people that you go about letting know what the personal details of your life are because you don't want to be judged. Even though they might be able to give you a potential solution. It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of think of it as, as men, as warriors. I kind of see it the same way that countries also form alliances. You know what I mean? Countries, what do they want? They want power. Why they want it? Maybe they want it for the people. Maybe they want it for the status. Whatever, right? But they want power. And early in days, it was a constant struggle back and forth to figure out where is the line, especially if you're a neighboring country and one country invades the other one invades the other. So we're always trying to it's a free for all for the resources, yeah. And the way I see it is, you will never become allies if one of you isn't vulnerable first. If one of you, if there isn't some sort of agreement to a ceasefire, if there isn't some sort of agreement to sending politicians or ambassadors, and there is no agreement to lower your defenses, be vulnerable, and work together, you'll never have an ally, you know? And it always takes, the bravest person is the one that does it first, you know, because if I lower my defenses here, there's a chance that they might just say, all right, everybody roll in, you know? Or the other person might say, I never really wanted to fight to begin with, you know? Maybe I kind of wanted to just, it would be great if we could just help each other out. So you never know what the other person is thinking, but if you're in a position and if you have the strength to be vulnerable first, to show that the other person you mean no harm, and try and make an alliance, make a deep bond, a friend, to try it.
Absolutely. Man, another issue that I think that we bump into just as human beings is being able to, you know, put people where they truly belong. Because I believe that even with relationships, at times, they have seasons, right? And some people are only in your life for a season, right? So if you try to carry somebody that was only supposed to be in your life for a winter time into the spring, summer, and fall, you know, they might be dragging you down. You know, so being able to truly, you know, depict where that person is supposed to be falling in your life is crucial. Otherwise, you might be holding yourself back.
Yeah. There's a pastor out of Texas that Pastor Keith Craft, and I love his content. There's something that he said a while back that just stuck with me. He said, people come into your life for 3 reasons: a season, a reason, or a lifetime. Are they there for a specific season? Are they there for a specific time frame? I'm in a winter time. I need someone in the summer to heat me back up and get me out. And maybe that's all that God meant them to be for, and that's okay. That's it is. That's a season. A reason. Hey, maybe you're brought together to do something, to do one thing, or to create a movement, something longer. I don't know. A season, a reason, or a lifetime. Lifetime's easy. You know, my goal now in this season of my life is to build these lifetime relationships. Is to align myself with men that I can do life with.
Absolutely.
Not just a season or a reason. Because prior to all of this, when I was just entrepreneurial, business minded, if you weren't in there for a season or a reason, you were out. Really, if we're doing business together or if you're a client, only reason we're gonna talk. If not, peace. I don't have time for it.
We have nothing to talk about.
Right, and that was just me driven, you know, so ego driven. But now I'm like, okay, where are my lifetime relationships at? And I pray that you two are both of them. You know, when I'm sitting here with you guys and we're able to have these type of conversations and be real, I'm like, I told you guys before when after we went to the range, I'm like, I see you guys as my lifetime homies.
Yeah.
You know, and I pray that that's what it is. And
Amen.
whether it is or not, that's not up to us.
Yeah.
It is, but it isn't, right? Like, it's up to us to nurture that. But it's also like, all right, God, if this is my lifetime guys, and these are my lifetime guys.
Yeah.
You know, but those are the people, you know, season, reason, or a lifetime. The better you can try to distinguish your intentions with people, your intentions with the relationships you have with them, the faster you can distinguish that, the better off you'll be. Because just like you said, is this person in my winter time, like I just need them for the winter, or God brought them into my life just for my winter, but I'm trying to take them into my summer?
What's the engagement version of like an engagement ring for your bros?
Do I go buy one?
Like if you're just like, nah, bro, this is for life. You,
Yeah.
know, you don't buy a ring, right? So like, what do you
I
get?
think it's just a natural progression, tattoo.
You get
So,
tattoo.
preferably the one on the lower back.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Initials and such.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You still got space back there? Or?
Yeah. I'll have to do some laser removal.
I can make that B into a P easy, no problem. Or a P into a B.
Yeah, they do really great cover work now.
Yeah, yeah. I got a guy for that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
No, but that's so cool though. Like like to have men that you're just like, I'm gonna do life with these dudes. That's it. Period.
Yeah, man.
You asked a question earlier that we didn't answer, and it was, why do you think we don't have? Why do you think nowadays a lot of men don't have a circle of other like-minded men, right? And I don't mean men that it's just an echo chamber and, the sky is purple. Oh yeah, the sky is purple. Yeah, you're right. I'm talking about guys that build you up, guys that will call you out on your stuff and say, hey man, you need to work on this, or hey, you're doing a great job.
Not
or,
just yes men.
yeah, and people to do life with, let's go bowling, let's go
That's a good point.
have a drink, let's go Bible study, whatever.
Or have a drink and Bible study.
Yeah.
Or that.
I like it.
Or that. Don't know what's gonna happen there, but yeah. Right. So why is that? You know what I mean? Like, and I've contemplated this myself, right? Because I have actively tried to keep people in my life sometimes, right? And I think to myself, oh, this person is, they're successful, or, they're just fun to be around, or whatever, XYZ. There's something that I think would, that I like to be around. So I don't know how to say this. They're not interested, right? It sounds like we're trying to date or something, but it's like
They don't put forth the same effort.
Right, and if it's not putting in the same effort, it's just deliberately like, I don't really go out,
Yeah.
I don't really hang out, I don't, I'm busy.
Or I'm not into dudes, right? Like that's-
Or I'm not into dudes, yeah.
That's the most. So is that what I heard? Is that what I heard?
Yeah. But it's crazy because, how else do you build up those relationships? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you don't make time, if you don't put an effort, if you don't show some sort of interest in having some sort of wolf pack or some sort of, round table, you know what I mean? You'll never have one, And it's not that I'm like, oh, I want it, you know what I mean? It's just a matter of, hey, like the guys are doing this, why don't you come hang out? Oh no, I'm okay, I gotta go eat waffles at home, or whatever.
Exactly.
But I don't know what that is, My wife, I've talked to my wife about this, and then she's like, yeah, you just come on too strong. And again, it sounds like we're trying to date, but and she's just like,
I was just trying to wrestle with him, babe.
Yeah.
He didn't want to wrestle.
Yeah. You kept slapping my hand away.
He started getting weird when I took my shirt off.
Yeah. How else are you supposed to wrestle?
How was he supposed to wrestle?
I don't want to get my shirt dirty.
It was my favorite shirt. I don't want to get dirty when we're wrestling. Duh.
Yeah, get crusty.
Only reason why we do that. But it's so. And this is what I love about this relationship. We can joke, we can talk serious, and then like it just flows. And I have that with each of you guys. And like that's where I'm like, okay, cool. I mess with these dudes. They're good guys. Good guys.
Yeah, man.
But to piggyback off what you were just saying, I think it's because we just don't know how. Like, how were our dads with that?
My dad had no friends.
Well, here's the thing. We'll come back to that. My dad's actually super friendly. Like, I wish I had a friend like my dad.
Yeah.
Because that dude shows up for his friends. Like, I've even told him straight up, like, "Bah, you're doing too much, man.
Yeah.
Like, for real, you're gonna drive all the way out there to do that."
Yeah.
But like, that's just how my dad shows up.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I'm like, why you do that? Why are you doing all that? You know? And
It's
then
funny.
what you just said, your dad wasn't like that.
Yeah.
No, well, don't get me wrong. My dad was friendly,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he had no friends.
Yeah.
Like, my entire childhood, he had one friend that I knew of, right? And I probably saw him maybe 3 times in my lifetime.
Man.
You know,
Yeah.
he had one friend, and
So that's your godfather.
well, that's funny. That wasn't even my godfather. You know, like, I probably saw that guy more than I did my godfather.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw my godfather once, which I got some stories by him, but that'll be
That's next episode. Next
yeah,
episode.
next episode. But yeah, it's so weird to me because my father was also an extremely paranoid individual. Like he was distrusting. Maybe not paranoid is the right word, but distrusting of everyone.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the way he grew up. Maybe it's where he grew up. He grew up in communist Guatemala in the 20s. You know what I mean? So he had to flee there at some point in time. So maybe he grew up with this. I don't know who to trust. You know.
100%, right?
You know thing.
That's a huge factor for sure.
Yeah, and so when he came over to the States, maybe that transferred over, and then he would always give me these warnings, you know, about friends, because you know, obviously I had friends over, and you know, whatever, and he was like, you have to be careful with friends.
Yeah.
Once the liquor, you know, runs out, they leave. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about, Dad? I'm 7. You know?
Finish that bottle and I'll show you.
You know?
Drink up.
Yeah.
I'll show you exactly what I mean.
Yeah, and so
You're
it
almost
gave me, it gave me glimpses of like the type of relationships he used to have before he came to Christ. You know, and so.
No, that's
anyways,
legit.
Yeah.
How about you? How's your pops?
Man, very social.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that was the issue. I've never been somebody that likes to be in like a large group. I want like a small, intimate group that I can actually have like meaningful conversation with.
Right.
You know, as opposed to, you know, just drinking and then getting back home and just feeling like, what did I accomplish? You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
So I'd rather the more intentional style relationships, where he was a lot more social, and it seemed like that's exactly what it was. Like, be around all these people, and then finish up, and then it's like, what'd you get from that? So I didn't want that for myself, you know. Yeah. So.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. It reminds me of like all the parties that I've gone to when I was like a teenager and stuff like that before I got married and had kids. Now parties are much more meaningful, but it's crazy how you can be in a room surrounded by people and still be lonely.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dude,
It's legit.
that's
Yeah.
the story of my life, bro.
Yeah.
Story of my life. I think
It's
especially
too hard.
Especially, yeah. I mean, I like when I was going through my retirement with the PD. You know, that was what I did.
Yeah.
We would be at family parties. We would be at these social events. And I'd be laughing like, yeah, sure, you know, cracking jokes and stuff. But deep inside, I was just hurting.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to tell someone so bad how I felt,
Yep.
but it was fear of, oh, they're not gonna get me.
Yep.
Or it was fear of like, damn, I gotta explain my whole story again.
Yep.
And I just that route was so much more seemingly exhausting
Yep.
than
Me just being around.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hey, let's crack a joke.
Yeah.
You know, I'm good at deflecting. You know,
Yeah.
and that's what I really leaned into. In that example of like feeling like you're the only one in that room.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, man, like yeah, that hit when you said that. I'm like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. I get
Nah,
that.
It's legit. Like, I like the advice that your dad gave, because I mean it's legit. Like when the wine does run dry, you know who is still going to be around. You know it's valid. You know what I mean? Because you do have those friends that would come around for the good time, but when you actually need them, absent. You know, so it's very valid.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And you know, as you grow up, you realize who are your real friends first of all,
Yep.
and second of all, who you can have those really deep conversations like, I need you right now.
Yep.
Like, you know, you're gonna show up, and then they're gonna be like, anyways, you know, let's talk about Super Mario Karts or whatever. You know,
Absolutely.
and so it's, you know, who you can be in your summer season with, and
Yeah.
who you need when you're in the winter season.
Exactly. Let's see. Man.
And, you know, I'm curious to get your guys' opinion. I think as a friend, like, I'll celebrate your wins with you. Like, of course I'm happy for you. But I feel like now that we're talking about it, I call me when you really need me.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, does this sound bad? Like, I'm not trying to be like, don't call me ever. I'm just saying, just
No.
like, I'm here when you need me, any time of day or night, both of you.
Yeah.
And if it's wins, cool, I'm happy. But like, you know, like I may not have the time for it.
Yeah.
But if you need me, I am there.
Yeah.
And I think like I think we have to be okay with saying that out loud. You don't have to be the friend that's always there every single time.
Mhm.
You actually have to respect how God made you to be as well.
Mhm.
Because you don't have to be the yes man friend. Hey, let's go out. Okay, yeah, no problem. Hey, let's go here. Okay, yeah, no problem. Let's go do this. Like,
Yeah.
you're just spreading yourself. You're saying yes to everything.
Yeah.
Like, so you have to be able to say no to the right things, so you can say yes to the right things.
Mm.
And when I say no to things that are, you know, of no real substance, I can say yes to when he messed his hand up. Yo, you okay?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Exactly.
Right.
Or this guy like, hey, I just landed this huge business deal. Hey, good job. And that's kind of
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah. That's legit.
Drinks at 4.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
cool. Like, I mean, not that it's a bad thing, but I feel like as a friend, when you need me, I am there.
Exactly.
But I may not be your first response of like, hey, let's go out and have a beer, or let's go. I'm like, maybe if we got it, if there's time, sure.
Yeah.
But we all have kids and families, and you know, when we give to all these different things and we see what's left over for us, I cherish that.
Yeah.
So, you know, just knowing the type of friend you are and being okay with that. You don't have to be like the answer to everybody's problems.
Yes.
Like, you got to
that's
know
right.
the tool,
Mhm.
your specific gifts and tools that you were made for, and capitalize on that.
Yeah.
You don't have to be everybody's solution.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
When you first said that, it kind of conflicted with me, right? But then I really thought about it, and I was just like, no, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you do have a life outside your friends. Obviously, we all do. But the reason why it conflicted with me at first was because I have a very small circle of friends, right? And out of that small circle of friends, I might go out with maybe 3 of them, maybe 3 of them, right? And most of the time, it's 1 of them,
Yeah.
right? And so,
That's the guy you wrestle with too, right?
yeah, that's the guy whose name you got to compete with on my back. But anyways, and the reason why I wrestled with that is because whenever one of them says, "Hey, I'm in town," or "Hey, let's go do this," my immediate is yes, right?
Exactly.
Only because 1, I don't see them often. 2, they're so close to me that whatever they're about, I'm about. And yeah, so those are my main reasons. But at the same time, it's not. I'm thankfully, I'm not in a position in my life where I'm too busy, right? Like, I can move things around, or maybe I can negotiate and say, well, I can't show up at this time. How about later? Or can we reschedule or rain check, what have you? But you're absolutely right. You can't say yes to everyone. You can't say yes to everything. You can't. It's impossible.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
know?
you have 1, right? Imagine if you had 3 of those and you're saying yes-ish
Yeah.
to like a couple of them. Whenever that one shows up that's like not really here, like you're spread thin.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's how I see it.
Exactly.
You know?
I wonder, because I have groups of friends where they have, whenever they hang out, I mean, they fill up a room.
Yeah.
Like, they fill up this room, you
Yeah.
know? And I'm like, how do you manage all those relationships, first of all? Second of all, how do you have so much money that you could just have people over all the time,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm like, you're always you're always the best man, or you're always the maid of honor at all the weddings. You know, you're always got baby showers and birthdays and 4th of July and Thanksgivings. You know, you got, like, for Thanksgivings you have 10 Friendsgivings that you have to attend. How? how do you manage, man? Like I have my families and I have a Friendsgiving, and for both of them, I'm just like, I'm glad that's like,
Exactly.
like I'm glad it happened. You know what I mean? But I'm glad that it's over because it was a lot of prep.
It was a lot, yeah.
It's a lot of
It's a
prep,
lot.
and you know,
It was a
especially if
lot.
you're hosting.
Yeah.
Forget about it, man.
Absolutely. Let's see. I don't know, because I have been that person that wanted
Yeah.
to have like the room full of people and whatnot. But then at the end of the day, you know, it's like, man, everybody just came over. They drank all the liquor. You know, they ate all the food, and then, you know, only a couple people stuck around like after everything was gone. You know, to help clean up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, this kind of sucks.
Yeah. Oh, dude,
You
I know.
So that's really when the meaningful relationships really started. Like, all right, you need to scale back a little bit.
Yeah.
And started like being intentional about the people that I was hanging out with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that at times we do need to go about making time for ourselves.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because it's like you said, if you take time to manage everybody else's crises, then you're not really taking time to manage your own.
Yeah.
You know, because we know that everybody's experiencing something at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the level of what they're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, managing everybody else's crises, you're inheriting some of their feeling and such.
Yes.
And then you're
Oh, yeah.
putting that burden on yourself. And then
Yeah.
you never really have the time to go about dealing with what it is that you're experiencing.
Yeah.
And then everything just compounds, and you get to that moment where it's like, I can't do this on my own.
Yes.
Or you have just that physical/mental breakdown. It's like, dude, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then who can you turn to?
Yeah.
Because when you start calling people, if you don't have the meaningful relationships, they close you off, and then you feel like you're going through everything by yourself. You know?
Right. And that's a quick way to just go down that rabbit hole of like, no one gets me.
Yeah.
I am different. I am, you know, it's like,
Absolutely.
yeah, there's, I forgot who said it, but they're like, there's two ways, you know, everyone thinks like I'm an introvert or I'm an extrovert. And I've read all these different books and different ways of like distinguishing either one. Obviously we're a mix of both, like, kind of like different ratios of each. You kind of lean more towards one, primary and secondary. But the best way it was ever explained to me, and that one that really resonates with me, is like if you are an introvert, it's how you recharge, how you recharge your energy. If you're an introvert, you recharge by yourself. If you're an extrovert, you recharge with a lot of people around you. So like some of these really big social butterflies that need these big crowds and stuff, it's because that's how they're recharging. And then when I understood that, I'm like, dude, I feel like people always think I'm an extrovert because I can, you know, make jokes and kind of, you know, be open or whatever, like and I crack jokes and be friendly. But I actually am an introvert because I recharge on my own.
Exactly.
You know, like that's my alone time is, you know,
Decompression.
yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of process what I went through throughout the day, or even like I just don't do anything and I just smoke a cigar or I sit outside. And those alone times and recharging is, I believe, when I can like, all right, God, I know it's been a busy day. I know a lot of things have been taking my attention. Did I miss something you were trying to tell me today?
Exactly.
You know, and that's how I recharge. It's like, I really am more intentional about going back to God.
Yeah.
You know, and having that alone time. And even, you know, I'm so blessed to have a wife that understands that now. Like, before, I didn't communicate with her that how important my alone time was. I was saying yes to everything.
Yeah.
And when I explained to her, like, babe, like, I don't do alone time because I'm trying to get away from anybody. I'm not trying to get away from you. I just need it for me. It's not, you're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
I just need this for me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when we finally had that conversation, she's like, hey, go have a cigar, go do your thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, man. You know, not being able to communicate those kinds of things, I think it's kind of setting up our families. Because I know one of the topics was supposed to be legacy, man, and
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah.
not being able to, you know, show emotion and such. Your kids are gonna grow up saying, you know, my dad never showed any kind of emotion, so that's exactly how I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, my mom was the very loving person, and you know, everything that I've heard about relationships says that you either go for the person that your mom or dad was or wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, so you're looking for somebody that is very sensitive, but then you got to understand what comes along with that. You know, you want the person that's very sensitive, but they're going to be crying all the time. You know, whatever. So not being able to handle those kind of things, and that it's a trickle down effect. So everything that you do or don't do is going to impact your kids. So being able to set up the right ratio, I guess, if you want to call it, of being able to be caring, but then being able to set aside that time that you can just go about reflecting, like you said, with God.
Yeah.
It's crucial.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're essentially telling your kids like it's not okay for you to ever have any alone time to be able to just think about what it is that you experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
You always have to be surrounded by people in order to be able to get things done.
Yeah.
And your kid might end up being the introvert
Right.
that needs to take that time to just process.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And they need to know it's okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's okay. Like you're in this season of your life,
Yeah.
right? Like that's okay.
Exactly.
That's so good, man. That's so
And
good.
really, that's the only real legacy we'll leave, right? Is our children. I mean, that's I guess arguable, right? For people that have created these empires, right? People that have created this small, family business, and now they're a big pharmaceutical company. Maybe that was the legacy that they wanted, but I think really the legacy that God wanted us to hand down was from us to our children,
Right.
And to instruct His word in the walls of their hearts.
Yeah. Absolutely. Man, so I wanted to bring something up to you all. Just the influence that the different genders have, right? So, yes, a man is supposed to be, the leader and such of the house and such. But you really think about the influence that a woman has over their household.
It's huge.
Oh, huge. Huge.
Of course.
We talk about dudes all the time because that's that's our
Yeah.
target demographic, right?
Exactly.
And that's who we are.
Yeah.
But that doesn't take away on the influence of women.
Man, even biblically, you think about all the men that fell to women.
Yeah.
Samson having his hair cut by Delilah.
I heard she has a mean face. Oh, just taper the back a little bit.
Yeah.
Keep it tight. Keep it tight.
Yeah, man. David after Bathsheba and such. You know what I mean? But it's just tough because I think that in seasons of life, you go about going after things that you might be neglected in other areas with. Right? So when you start falling to the temptation of lust for another woman, you might be experiencing a disconnection from your spouse, from your girlfriend, whatever it might be. So you're looking for that connection that you might be lacking from your spouse, even though it's just a small portion of what it is that they do for you. Right? So I want somebody that can cook for me. And so you go out and you meet somebody, oh yeah, I cook every day. But then you find out that they don't clean their feet.
Bro,
Okay, we've officially entered Operation Redwood After
Yo,
Dark.
that's the one.
Yo, you didn't wash your feet today? No.
You made my pancakes with them crusty feet?
You let me suck that face?
How did we get there?
Okay. All right.
I was looking you dead in the eye, bro, when you said that. I was like, what? Yo, she made the greatest mashed potatoes but her feet. Oh my god,
I can't,
dude.
man.
Dude, I'm so glad we got that recorded.
That is hilarious. Oh my gosh. Okay, we know your deal breaker.
Got it. Yeah.
Toes are unclean. Got a bunion or a callus or.
Anna got great feet, man.
Oh jeez, we know your standards, bro.
We
High
get it.
standards.
We
Big
get it.
span here.
I'm telling
You just said that so seriously, bro. I was like, what?
Got dirty toes.
She got the fuzzy things in between her toes.
Oh no, hell no! You got Bam Bam feet? No. Put your clothes back
Oh,
on.
dude, put your socks back on.
Yeah, I'll call you an Uber right now. Bye.
Oh my gosh, bro, that was hilarious, man. I was like, oh my god, I don't know if I can hold this laugh in.
Oh, dude, there's no holding that one in. That was good. That was good.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
so
man.
good, man. Oh.
But you know, in those kind of situations, man, that's when you end up encountering the exact thing that you are lacking, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like the devil is always in the details. You find that one person that can go about filling just this little niche, but then they're missing everything else that you need, or that you would mark off as a criteria, just because whatever you're experiencing, whatever. It's just interesting that's exactly the timing that you go about meeting those kind of people.
Yeah. Well, you only need to crack a window
Yeah.
to give the enemy a way in.
Yeah.
You don't have to open a door. You just need a crack.
Yeah.
You just need to leave it ajar a little bit.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, but it's true. It's
Yeah.
very true. You know, especially when you feel like you're in pain for whatever that is.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all that's replaying in your head, and that's in the moment that you see that in someone else,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that's nice.
Absolutely.
You know,
You
so
know, but it's
yeah.
not just women; it's jobs and all that stuff too. You know what I
Everything,
mean?
yeah, everything,
Yeah.
everything.
You know,
Yeah.
man, it's tough.
But going back to your the influence of a woman, right? And how it could be a bad thing, but really how God intended it to be a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for us to work together. You know, Scripture says that he who found a wife has found grace, right, or favor in the Lord's eyes. And I know a lot of women get upset at the fact that God calls women's helpers, right? Helpers of men. But really it's because they don't understand the depth of what God means by helper, right? So if you look at the Aramaic that was the actual Aramaic word that was used for helper, right? It's a word that God uses throughout the rest of the Old Testament for himself.
Yeah.
Like it's a word that God uses as helper for himself. It's a word that God uses for helper for someone that you would be unable to do XYZ without God at that point in time. That's the word. That's the amount of power that God gave women. The amount of influence that God gave women.
Yeah. It's legit.
Yeah, to reference to them as if in a word that he also uses to reference for himself. It's not a lonely thing. It's not a servant thing. God's not our servant. God, he serves us out of love, and yeah, absolutely, just the way that we serve each other, the way that we serve our wives, our kids. But they are not our masters, right? And so that's something that I feel a lot of women need to understand. I know, like I said, plenty of women get upset at that word helper. Oh, I'm not any less than him. No, you're not.
No.
That's not what God meant when he said helper, you know?
Wow, that's huge.
It
That's
is,
huge.
man.
Yeah, I heard something similar when you said that. Like, I believe the original meaning of blessing was also something that only God could provide. So like that totally helper and blessing were definitions that God originally meant, but has been diluted over time. We look at blessing now, it's like better house, better car, better job, more money, whatever.
That $100 that you found.
The $100, thank you, Lord, that's a blessing. And it is. It is, right?
Absolutely.
But God's original meaning for blessing was something that only he could provide. That myself with my own two hands could not do without him. So that was the blessing. But to us, it's like, oh, thank God, I got blessed with the coffee. Alfredo blessed me with coffee today. No,
He bought it.
I was a helper. No, but yeah, it's just so interesting, and I would love to dive into this topic next time on like a deeper. Hey, what's the role of women, right? We shouting out all these dudes.
Yeah.
But there is a huge importance, just like what you're saying, to women, because I always say I accredit my dad to giving me this warrior mentality, this warrior identity, but the truth is, my mom is the one that gave me faith.
Yeah.
My faith comes from my mom.
Mm.
So, yeah, I would love. Oh, that's such a great topic for next time. So, y'all better subscribe to the newsletter because if you don't, you're not gonna hear that episode.
Hello.
Hello. I'm just kidding. I'm just saying, kind of, sort of. I don't know. We'll think about it.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But any last words? We talked about a lot today, and these are so fun. I love when we can do this live because of this right here. It's like a comedy show / like some when you guys go off and start preaching. I'm like, yeah. Any last words for the listeners? Because we did talk about a lot, but what's your big takeaway from today, and what's an actionable step? Because I want to start wrapping these up with something that they can do now, regardless of the season or place you're in life. What's something you can do today, and apply that right off the bat? And I'll get things going. We talked about being among other men, having these key relationships. And my tip for you guys today, if you don't have that, if you don't have these key relationships, these lifetime relationships, be the friend you wish you had. Be that type of friend. And then you will find those type of people. Be it first. Don't expect anybody to come save the day for you. Be that first. Lead by example. That's for me. That's what I got.
Absolutely. So mine goes along with that. Just being intentional in the things that you say and do. So letting your yeses be yeses and your noes be noes. So
Integrity.
Absolutely. Not saying yes right off the bat to something that you might regret later on in the future. Being intentional about the time that you spend with people. Making those relationships meaningful, and really being able to recognize what seasons / whatever you want to call it that somebody is supposed to be taking up in your life. Be more intentional.
Good.
I don't know why. This is just something that when you said, actions or takeaways, and the first thing that came to my mind was, whoever's listening, I don't know who needs to hear this, call your parents. All right, tell them you love them. All right, let's just start there. Right, one of the commandments is honor your father and your mother, so that you can have, prosperous and long days. Right. So, I don't know what's going on there, but call your parents and tell them you love them.
That's really good.
That's all I got. That's all I really have to say. I don't know why.
Wow.
Because the rest takes care of itself.
The rest takes care of itself. Yeah. Maybe they got some good advice for you. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Someone's gonna hear this today, or whenever they hear this recording, and whenever we post it, and they're gonna call their parents. It could be something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Hopefully, we can get this out sooner than later. I think that's such a powerful word. This is gonna be like a testament to God's power in this. Like you called it out, and there's that seed that's planted. And there's, my mentor said there's always a harvest whenever you plant seeds. What we're doing with this podcast, what we're doing with Operation Redwood, all these things that we got going on, we're planting seeds. So I'm really curious and excited to see what harvest comes out of that seed you just planted.
We'll know one day.
Yeah.
Maybe we won't.
Maybe we
won't.
Maybe we won't.
That's
maybe
okay.
we will. Maybe we won't. Right? Like you listener might not ever tell us what happens, but you know what? We're just gonna continue planting seeds, and that's just such a. I think that timing was perfect. So, thank you, boys. Thank you, men.
Thank you for having us.
So, clean your feet.
Yes.
Clean your feet.
That is correct.
That's gonna be the title of today.
Yeah.
Clean your feet.
Really.
No, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.
Redwood out.
Later.